Welcome to Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris. Every week I'll discuss a beer that maybe we've forgotten along the way while we accumulate our check-ins and badges. Some weeks I'll feature a new beer that has potential to be a classic. Being from Chicago, I'll talk about some local beers I had during the week, I'll add my spin to events of the day, and at the end of the show I'll call out the Jagoffs of the week. This week's beer will be Robert the Bruce from Three Floyds. That's Beer in Front, coming up now. Welcome to episode 75 of Beer in Front. Let me look at my notes again, all right? Damn, 75 episodes. Welcome. How's everyone doing this week? I have a good show for you this week. You know what? I say that every week, though. One of these days, not this week, because this week's a good show, but one of these weeks, I should just be honest and say, this show's just mediocre. I'm just going through the motions. This show sucks. Go listen to E14. Listen to De Beer Bros. Somebody else. Listen to somebody else but me. But not this week. I'm not going to say it, because this is a good week. I talked to Katie Camlin. She's the social media director of the Kansas City Bier Co, and we had a virtual Dunkel that was terrific. So I'll talk to her, plus the usual news of the week, Jagoffs. Speaking of Jagoffs, my Democratic friends, don't get upset with me, because I'm going to rip a Democrat a new asshole on the Jagoff of the Week segment. All right, we've got a big show. Let's start it off. Welcome back to Beer in Front. I am very happy to have on Katie Camlin. She's the social media director of the Kansas City Bier Co and Twitter extraordinaire. You should vote for her as the best Twitter personality in Kansas City. Katie, how you doing today?
Doing well. How are you? I'm glad to be on the show.
Yes, thank you. And yes, I did vote this afternoon. So
all right. Those nominations just went up. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird because between you and Alana and Jeremy, social media thinks I live in Kansas City. I have emails from the newspaper. On Twitter, it's like, would you like to follow Andy Reid? I'm like, no, I'm good, but thanks. And it always pops up everyone in Kansas City.
It happens with our little beer network.
Yes. Now, the Kansas City Bier Co is located at 310 West 79th Street in Kansas City, Missouri. They have, in my opinion, the coolest logo in craft beer. I love the logo. If you haven't seen it, the I in the beer, the German spelling of beer, is a tap handle. Such a cool logo. I'm excited to try the Dunkel this afternoon that was graciously given to me by my friend Tammy that I work with. So what can you tell us about yourself, the beer company? I know it's a pretty new gig for you, isn't it?
It is. This is my third week. So I'm like 2.5 weeks in. And actually my boss just called me. So I'm going to just be like on a Zoom call. What's up? Multitasking here.
Yes.
So this is like, I'm 2.5 weeks in. I was working at Plaza Liquor, of course, down the road for like a year and some change. And I wasn't really looking for a job, but KC Bier Co this fell into my lap. So I've been doing their social media, digital marketing. It's been a lot of learning. We're focused on traditional German beer, Reinheitsgebot, like water, hops, barley, yeast, that's it. So it's very hyper specific, but it's been a good experience so far for sure.
All right. So the beer we're having now is it's a Munich style brown lager. This is the Dunkel.
Yes.
Cheers.
I don't know if
you have the fancy glass. Yes.
I do. Yeah. I've got the luxury. My office is right above the brewery and the beer hall. So I can just go down and say, hey, give me a Dunkel.
Yeah. Wow. This is really good.
It is definitely our most popular, one of the best sellers. People love the Dunkel. It's really, really nice.
Is this a year round?
Yes. So we have currently 5 year-round beers, and this one is kind of synonymous with like KC Bier Co and with like Kansas City. This one gets served at the Sporting KC Stadium. Everybody loves the Dunkel.
Okay. Yeah. No, this is excellent. Great malt taste to it. You get I mean, it's a dark red color. This is audio, so people won't see it, but
Right.
you should try it. It's a beautiful dark red color. You get like a little Munich malt in there where there's like some sweetness to it. No, this is excellent.
It's really nice, and I hate that I have my ragweed seasonal allergies are really bad right now. So I have like muted taste. All the complexities of beer and hops are a little bit muted for me right now, unfortunately. But it's a beautiful beer. We do use all imported German malt hops, all that good stuff. So I think it really shows, honestly.
What are the other year-round beers that you have?
Yeah, so we have a pure pills, a Helles lager, a Hefeweizen, which is maybe my favorite. It's just beautiful. And then we came out this year with an IPL to kind of shake things up a bit. So it's a dry hopped with Mandarina, Bavaria hops.
Okay.
Um, I think, that's all the year rounders plus Dunkel.
And you have seasonals that come out?
Yeah, so this year it looks a little bit different, but there's a seasonal line and there's a limited release line, which is something new this year. So they pretty much alternate releasing those, but seasonals are going to be things like the Fest beer, which is really popular around Kansas City as well. We did a Kolsch this summer, and then limited releases are usually a little bit more premium things like a Weizenbach that we just did.
Okay.
Some things like that are a little more special.
Cool. Now you mentioned the Fest beer. I was reading you have an Oktoberfest that's coming up, a party on October 1st and 2nd at Crown Center. This had 11,000 people in 2019. Obviously, for COVID, we couldn't have it last year. How are the advanced sales? Does it look like it's going to be huge again 2021?
Things are going well. We've actually been selling more advanced tickets, just a little bit more than they usually did, I think, and that may just be because of COVID, and people want to reserve their spot or reserve their table where it's just their friends. But it's looking good. We've got a lot of great musicians, we've got a lot of food vendors, a lot of volunteers. We're hoping it's the biggest one yet.
All right, awesome, and it is really good.
It's so nice.
And I think this is actually a year old too, because she stole it from her brother-in-law's fridge.
Oh my gosh, we got to get you some fresh Dunkel.
No, actually, it's not too bad. The expiration date was end of June, so it's only a couple months.
Okay.
No, it's still really good.
Honestly, and so one of my favorite things about working here so far is how much I get to learn. And every Wednesday we get together. It's usually just whoever wants to come, but it's brewers, the owner, and we do a tasting panel. And a lot of the times we are blind tasting, samples of our beer that have maybe been warm stored for 4 months or are out of date. And it's been it's cool getting to learn, how our beer tastes at every stage of its life. We all discuss it, and I'm just asking a ton of questions so far. But even Dunkel that is a little bit old, we've tried, is not bad.
Yeah, no, that's still good. Do you distribute? Where's your distribution area? Is it pretty much Kansas and Missouri? I know we don't see it here in Chicago.
Yeah, right now we're Kansas and Missouri, and we're not everywhere. There is a map online, but we're covering most of Missouri. We're missing St. Louis right now. And then we're in a couple places in Kansas as well. Still kind of small, but we're getting there.
Are they looking to expand their, footprint around, maybe neighboring states, things like that, like maybe Illinois?
I mean, the hope for every brewery is to keep expanding, right? And to keep, obviously sell more beer. Again, some of these questions, I'm 2.5 weeks in, and I'm going to assume that we want to keep expanding, of course. Unless I find out no, we don't want to go anywhere else. I'd be very surprised. But
you are a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. And I mean, I'm recording this on Wednesday the 1st, and this will be released next week. So right at the start of football season. Yeah. You looking forward to this year?
Yes. We've been watching every preseason game that we can, my boyfriend and I at home, we've been watching every preseason game that we can get on our TV just because we miss football. So I'm really excited. The last Super Bowl with the Chiefs, it really hurt. It was just a huge bummer to watch. There was nothing really fun about it. So I'm ready to not have that be the last Chiefs game that I've viewed. I need some new things to remember in my head, because that was a really disappointing game. So I'm excited to see how this year goes.
Try being a Bears fan knowing that we thought Mitch Trubisky was
Yeah.
better than Patrick Mahomes.
Oh yeah. I wasn't even going to bring up the Bears because, anytime anyone brings up either of those quarterbacks, it's like, imagine passing on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to my world.
They-
And you're going to be off for weekends now, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Like, what even is my life? So
yeah.
even before Plaza Liquor, when I was teaching, I was still doing brewery stuff on the weekends. So I mean, I've not had Saturdays and Sundays off for years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. Of course, I play indoor soccer on Sundays, and of course, our last game of the season starts at the exact same time as the first Chiefs game.
Okay.
And I'm like, do I skip it? But for the most part, I will be able to watch all the games, and I'm excited about that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm happy for you. I know I work in the service industry. Tuesday, Wednesday off right here. So,
Right, yeah. But
yeah.
at my last job, I was off Sunday and Wednesday.
Okay.
So random.
Yeah.
And I even with my muted, stuffy nose,
Mhm.
not tasting as well, it's super good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get a lot of the aroma, but it could be just because it's, a couple months old. But
Yeah,
no, this is, an awesome beer. I would knock this down
right.
all the time.
It's super drinkable, but it's just got a little bit more to it than like a pilsner or a light lager. I really am a big fan of dark lagers.
Mhm.
They're my jam.
For people that aren't from Kansas City and they were coming to visit you, what are outside of Kansas City Beer Company, which should be stop number one?
Right.
What are there bars are there? Are there any cool bars to go to? Things to see or do that, we might not hear about?
Yeah. So I kind of call myself an old lady sometimes. I don't like dancing, loud music. I don't like a lot of those like trendy, like nightlife kind of things. I'm more of a dive bar or beer centric establishment kind of person. So one of my favorite Kansas City gems is called High Dive on 39th Street. And my favorite thing about High Dive, it is obviously a divey type bar, but they have an old like soda vending machine behind the counter,
Okay.
and it's filled with random cans of beer. And so you can order a mystery beer and they'll, pop the button, you get what you get. And it's super fun. It's all I get when I go to High Dive. And it's everything from, I've gotten things like Goose Island IPAs or, local beers to like Bud Ice, Genesee, like it's a gamble every time, but it's like $3 mystery beer. So that's my favorite thing. And I love that spot. There's a really great place to try beer called Taps on Main.
Okay.
So I am a fan of trying everything I can possibly get my hands on. So this is a pour your own beer bar. So they have a cool little like card system where you get a little swipe card and it fits onto like a tap handle, and then you can pour as much as you want and it'll charge you for as many ounces as boards. So that is like my favorite thing to do because I can try literally everything without spending like $100 and having too many beers. Like you can just get a few ounces. So I
Yeah.
love that spot. And they're a sports bar. They have great food as well. But I'm there for the pour your own beer wall for sure.
Are you a big Royals fan? I know I see you on social media, huge Chiefs, but the other teams, the Royals, anything like
Yeah.
that?
I mean, so I grew up in Kansas City, so I've grown up going to Royals games, and I think baseball for me is either so exciting or so boring. A lot can happen at once, or it can just be really drawn out. So I think sometimes I think football is a little more interesting to watch. I love going to the baseball stadium, but
Yeah.
sometimes watching baseball on TV isn't always my jam. But I was there for the Royals World Series run, went to the parade. Huge fan there. Yeah, I just haven't really been out since the pandemic times, but I still love my Royals for sure. And
All right.
I enjoy sporting KC. That's our soccer team as well. Yeah.
All right. Well, Katie, I thank you so much for coming on. It was great talking to you. Once again, it's Kansas City Beer Company, 310 West 79th Street in Kansas City, Missouri. Thanks again. Have a great night, and hopefully I will see you soon with the dog.
Yes, please. I want to meet little Moira.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Katie.
Bye.
All right. I want to thank again Katie Camlin, the social media director of the Kansas City Beer Company. That was a lot of fun talking with Katie. Please, if you're in the Kansas City area, check them out. They are once again at 310 West 79th Street in Kansas City, Missouri. Like I said, check them out. Great beers, great people. Kansas City Bier Company. In beer news this week, Half Acre on Lincoln Avenue is reopening Thursdays through Saturdays for the rest of this month until September 25th. So the original tap room on Lincoln will be open. They're having limited draft beer that they are brewing there. It's for guests over 21. You have to show proof of vaccination. You have to either show your card or a clear photo, and credit card payments only. So if you're in the area, please stop by the original Half Acre and say goodbye. It's going to be sad to see them go. I mean, I'm happy for Hot Butcher to come in, but still, Half Acre leaving kind of hurts me a little bit. So if you're in the area, stop by to Half Acre and grab one last daisy cutter for the road. And starting this weekend over at Promiscuous, 2812 North Lincoln Avenue in the city, they have a special curated six-pack that was done by me. So please stop in, ask for the Beer in Front six-pack. We have 6 good beers here. One, you're going to have Crispy Boy from Alarmist. Great beer. Great beer. Pick that up. Falling Knife. Now, they're located out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Their Verbal Tip. That's a New England IPA. This is a Session Baltic Porter from Kinslager out in Oak Park, Illinois. They call it a Session, but it's 8%. So I would like to have the regular one. I'm a huge fan of Baltic Porters. This is going to be a good one. Dos Mananas from Brewer's Kitchen. This is really good too. They brew this. This is a double IPA brewed with tea. I have from Hopewell, their Way Up Aperitivo Spritz. I talked about this one on the show maybe a month or so ago. This was really good if you're into seltzers. And finally, the Casa Humilde Bulldog collaboration with the people at Promiscuous. This is Grand Cru, which is a Belgian quad. All 6 of these are great. If you're in the area, please pick one up. It's a curated 6-pack. All 6 are bangers, as the kids like to say. So check out Promiscuous. And finally, in the closest I'll ever be to going viral, a couple of weeks ago, On Tour Brewing in Chicago put out a beer in collaboration with the band Greta Van Fleet. Whether you like Greta Van Fleet, whether you don't, I'm not here to shit in anyone's milk. People say they're a knockoff of Led Zeppelin, whatever. I like some of their songs. I have nothing against Greta Van Fleet. But I had this beer and I tweeted, no, it doesn't taste like Led Zeppelin. This is the closest I will ever go to going viral. That throwaway joke was liked almost 800 times and retweeted 100. My phone was blowing up for 3 days because of this. So if you see Greta Van Fleet beer, it's a decent beer. It's a New England Hazy IPA, and no, it doesn't taste like Led Zeppelin. For nearly 20 years, Love Honey have been the sexual happiness people working to make a fun, fulfilling sex life available to anyone. Don't just take my word for it. With nearly 70 awards to their name, there's a reason Love Honey's customers come back time and time again. It doesn't matter what your experience, orientation, spice level, gender, or even size is. Love Honey has what you need to feel and be sexy. Their in-house design teams work closely with customers to create the toys, sexy outfits, and accessories you need for mind-blowing fun, whether you're riding solo or playing with a partner. I'm super excited to be teaming up with Love Honey to give you 10% off your next purchase. Just click the link in the episode description to claim your exclusive discount. That's Love Honey. I had some terrific beers this week. I had one from Narrow Gauge out in Missouri in collaboration with the St. Louis Hop Shop. This was called YAKWII. You already know what it is. This is a sour IPA that is brewed with Sabro hops. It has lactose in it, and it was aged on vanilla beans, pineapple, and raspberry. I took a dairy pill ahead of time. I'm not a fan of lactose. Lactose and I have issues. I would still drink this beer. That's how good this beer was. My God, was this fantastic. Everything about this I loved. It just, all the flavors blended together in perfect harmony. Not one took over, but they were all equals in this. This was a phenomenal beer. Loved everything about it. If you're in the St. Louis area, pick up YAKWII. And I had a beer that's going to be in the curated mix pack over at Beer Miscuous. This was done with Casa Humilde, Bulldog, and Beer Miscuous. This is a Belgian quad called Grand Cru. Terrific beer. This has agave in there, sugars in there. It was really good. 11.5%. Everything about this was great too. Terrific beer. 11.5%, like I said. So it's not, you're not going to pound it down, but this was really good. Definitely pick that one up. The beer that's in front of me this week is from Three Floyds. This is Robert the Bruce. This is a Scottish style ale, and Robert the Bruce has been around for a long time. It kind of gets forgotten in the Three Floyds portfolio, but this is a full-bodied Scottish style ale with a well-rounded malty profile and roasted biscuit-like notes. This has 24 IBUs. This has a 7.5% ABV. Let's crack this one open. Weak. Just a weak sounding open. Robert the Bruce has a nice dark brown, reddish color to it. You really get to smell the malt with the aroma here. That's really nice. Yeah. If you like malt, you'll like this. It's a wonderful malt flavor on this. I get a slight bitterness at the back end, but nothing that's overpowering since, it only has 24 IBUs. The primary, flavor that hits you is the malt. There's a sweetness to this. This is really good. It's been a while since I've had a Scottish style ale. But no, Robert the Bruce is really good. This has been around forever, and you kind of forget about it when you're, out looking for Zombie Dust or any of the other great beers that Three Floyds puts out. But Robert the Bruce is really good. I'm getting more of a sweetness, caramel taste to this. That's kind of the first thing that's hitting me. I'm trying to, talk about this, pause while I have a little bit more, let it warm up a bit. But for me and my taste buds, yeah, definitely I'm getting the sweetness and the caramel from this. If you haven't had Robert the Bruce in a while, I suggest picking it up again. Nice change of pace. That's, once again, it's Robert the Bruce from Three Floyds. Pick it up. All right, there's plenty of them to go around. Here are your Jagoffs of the Week. No, this is not from The Onion. This was reported in Crane's Chicago Business that Duncan Hines is being sued because their fudge brownies aren't fudgy enough. Who in God's name is going to call their lawyer and have a lawsuit against Dunkel. Jagoffs. 3 schools in Vancouver, Washington had to go on lockdown last week after members of the Proud Boys tried to gain access to school grounds so they could protest masks. I still don't know what they're proud about. Proud Boys, you're Jagoffs. AmericanCraftBeer.com had a listing of their top 100 best to worst American cities for beer lovers. Chicago came in 57th. Now, I don't want to disparage any of the cities that are above Chicago on this, because I'm assuming that their breweries are good, but you're basing this on the amount of breweries open per capita. So above Chicago, you have Fort Wayne, Indiana, who has less than 10% the population. They have 8 breweries, but they're considered a better beer destination for beer lovers than Chicago, who has 64. You have other towns in here that just make no sense. So I'm sorry, AmericanCraftBeer.com. This is a flawed list. Do better. Norfolk, Virginia, with 9 breweries, doesn't rank above Chicago. I'm sorry. You're Jagoffs. There goes my plug from AmericanCraftBeer.com. Looks like I won't have them as a sponsor. Donald Trump Jr. put something out on the Insta. He posted an American flag, and his comment was, "That's it. That's the best. That's the post." Trumpy, you posted a picture of a 51-star flag, so you good with DC gaining statehood? Jagoff. This doesn't really count as a jagoff, but it's just so damn funny. A former teammate of Allen Iverson, claimed that Mr. Iverson occasionally dropped 40 grand at a strip club when he was a 76er. Allen Iverson says, first of all, it was like $9,000 at most, and there were never any strippers at the TGI Fridays unless I brought them. Sometimes I brought a bunch, and I supposed in those cases, yes, the bill could get up to $40,000 because they didn't have the endless appetizer thing back then. Alan, I'm not mad at you, man. I'm mad at the teammate. Why bring this up? If he did, who cares? Former teammate of Allen Iverson. You're a jagoff. Imagine you're a fan of the Miami Marlins baseball team. You buy great seats behind the plate. You're excited about seeing the Mets play the Miami Marlins. There's a giant Cinnamon Toast Crunch person sitting directly behind the plate, second row. The thing is so wide, it takes up 2 seats and is like 5 feet tall. So anyone sitting behind the Cinnamon Toast Crunch person, you're not watching a ball game. Jagoff. You'd have thought that CNN would have learned their lesson after promoting Trump for ratings during the primaries way back in 2015. The only reason we had that ass clown as a president because CNN pumped him up to get ratings for a year and a half. Well, now they're pumping up Caitlyn Jenner. Why? She has less than 1% of the vote, of the recall vote out in California. Why do you keep having Caitlyn Jenner on? She's an idiot. Now Caitlyn says she supports Ron DeSantis and calls people illegals in a CNN interview. Caitlyn, how would you like it if people called you tranny or the F word or something else? Caitlyn, you're a jagoff. Go the fuck away. 11 House Republicans are upset and they sent a nasty letter to 13 telecom companies vowing to pursue all legal remedies if they comply with the January 6th committee's request for their phone records. 1, it's legal. 2, you don't even know who you're sending this to. You sent this out to Marissa Mayer, who actually left Yahoo over 4 years ago in 2017, but you're sending her a nasty letter. You're all a bunch of jagoffs. Ohio man Benjamin Eugene Dagley. He lives in Wooster, Ohio. He's actually on parole. He's on probation. I'm sorry. He's on probation for an incident involving a break-in at a metal shop in Ohio. But he was in Gulfport, Mississippi, and he stopped his car, get out of his car, ran towards a news reporter who was covering Hurricane Ida. And he was just ranting and raving. But everyone got the guy on video. If you're violating probation, not that I've ever been on probation, but if you're going to violate probation, I would think you wouldn't you wouldn't do it in front of a fucking news camera. You wouldn't have your license plates on a news camera where there's somebody with a high definition camera taking pictures of you. So now, Mr. Dagley, there's warrants out for his arrest for all sorts of things. So, Benji, you're a Jagoff. Ex-Cub reliever Kyle Farnsworth. He's always known as a douche canoe. He had like a 99-mile-an-hour fastball and a 49 IQ. He's a hothead, a journeyman. But now he's tweeting out that, let me read the tweet. So I just saw that a Major League Baseball player didn't play today because of general soreness. Are you kidding me? It's September. Everyone is sore. If you can't play through soreness, you shouldn't be playing in the sport. Shaking my head. Well, Kyle, there was one player who didn't play that day for general soreness, and it was Trey Mancini, who returned after missing the whole 2020 season with stage 3 colon cancer. So I think he could take a day off if he's sore. Kyle, you're a Jagoff. And I literally could have this whole show on Texas, but I'm not going to. But I'm going to touch on a couple things. One, Texas is not going to force a 12-year-old to wear a mask at school, but they'll force her to have a baby. Governor Abbott, you're a Jagoff, and I'm not done yet. I feel like Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman. I'm just getting warmed up here. Texas is going to pay you $10,000 to contact trace a woman seeking an abortion, but they will prohibit contact tracing for COVID because they value life. Jagoff. Governor Abbott, when asked why sex assault victims who get pregnant have to carry to term under Texas law, Abbott says, well, they have 6 weeks to get an abortion, and then he says he's going to eliminate rape by arresting all future rapists. How the hell are you going to go after Trump? Because he's got a lot of people that claim that he raped them. Are you going after Trump? Jagoff. But the best thing that I read about this whole Texas thing was from Carlos Chapman, who's a law professor at Washington and Lee University. She said, this is a quote and it's brilliant, if a fetus is a person at 6 weeks pregnant, is that when the child support starts? Is that when you can't deport the mother because she's carrying a U.S. citizen? Can I insure a 6-week fetus and collect if I miscarry? Just figuring, if we're going to go there, we should go all in. Carlos, that was brilliant. Governor Abbott, you're a Jagoff. This is the Beer in Front tip of the day. If you are going to fake being injured and claim that a car ran you over and backed into you, you shouldn't do it with the person driving a Tesla. Arthur Bates Jr. was in Louisiana and took a dive. It was like watching World Cup soccer. It was a brilliant dive, and then he's calling 911 saying that the Tesla driver backed into him. So he wants to make this was a beautiful dive. Messi could not have done this better than Arthur Bates Jr. Arthur Bates Jr. is not the sharpest tool in the shed because he didn't realize that Teslas have cameras. So the Tesla driver is like, well, here's the video. And it shows Arthur Bates just taking a dive. Arthur Bates Jr., you're now arrested for filing false reports. You're a Jagoff. Let me also reiterate that these are just my opinions only. I don't know them all to be true. Maybe these people are not Jagoffs. However, I think they are, but these are just my opinions only. I'll let you make the judgment for yourself. The real Jagoff of the week is Chicago Alderman James Gardner. James. You're a Jagoff, in my opinion. Now, all of these stories have been reported in People's Fabric, in Block Club, on WTTW, CBS Chicago. So these aren't things that I've made up. But on People's Fabric, Alderman Gardner, who comes across as a second-rate Joe Pantoliano, refers to women in the area as bitches, and it's a word that rhymes with one of the 3 streets in Chicago. Now, this came out in text messages that were obtained by People's Fabric, and it's not just calling people in the neighborhood. He's also calling Alderman Tom Tunney as a bitch, and it ends with fuck him. He refers to an aide of another alderman as his bitch. It's also reported that Gardner has retaliated against those who don't like him on social media. Other texts from the alderman that was shared with Block Club showed Gardner saying that this bitch on Kildare will pay following a block party on Kildare Avenue. It's reported that another woman asked for help for a block party on Kenneth Avenue, and Gardner told his staff not to help the woman because she supported another candidate in the campaign and ended it with fuck her. You know, if you say something bad about him, he blocks them from social media, deletes comments about him. You know, I've never met the man. I don't know him, but he just comes across as a short man or a man with small dick syndrome, one of the two. No other way I could put it. He appears to me like he's covering up for something, whether it's his height or lack of height somewhere else, but he literally has short dick syndrome and he's a tool. But then Alderman Gardner, instead of just coming clean and apologizing, he issues the non-apology apology. I am sorry for my comments. They do not reflect my values. Well, obviously they do if you keep saying it. So stop lying and saying they don't reflect my values, because they obviously do. He says that he has reached out to his colleagues and others to express my sincere regrets. I respect all people and apologize to those I may have offended. Once again, this is bullshit, Jimmy. Don't have a non-apology apology. Just say, you know what? I was wrong. I fucked up. I have issues and I'm going to work at them, and actually call people to apologize. Now, it turns out that he did apologize to Alderman Tunney, but he did not apologize to everyone. It looks like he did not apologize to the women, the bitches in question. So, Jimmy, you have small dick energy. You're a Jagoff. Go away, because you're going to be voted out. So you better pocket whatever money that you're making from this little one-term gig of yours, because you're done. You're a Jagoff, and go away. That's going to wrap things up for this week's episode of Beer in Front. I thank you so much for listening. If you have any ideas or suggestions, you can email me at dave@beerinfront.com. You could also find me on Twitter and Instagram at beerinfront. On my link tree, I have ways of supporting the podcast if you wish, and that way I won't have to sell pictures of my feet on OnlyFans. Thanks again, and we'll see everyone next week.